on, guys? Jared Klassen with Upscale Detail Co. So today I'm interviewing Brian. Brian has been in the marketing space / radio space for many years, and he reached out to me. He wanted to be on the podcast, and I think marketing is one of the most important things that you can do for your business, even if you're just getting started. So, I kind of want to dive into the questions with Brian. Brian, the first question I have is who are you? How long have you been in the space, and what inspired you to get into marketing?
Well, I was in the radio business for 36 years, and during that time in the radio industry, you start putting your feet in the pool of marketing. You start to learn marketing, you start to learn advertising, because that's the purpose of a radio station, is to run commercials, to get messages out. And so I think I've always been in marketing. It's just, when radio started to erode, I had to find something else that I was interested in. And it's a blessing to have a job where you look forward to go to work every day. Most of the population on the planet wakes up every day and they're miserable and they don't want to go to work. But if you can get into an industry that you're passionate about, something that you look forward to going to every day, then that's where everybody wants to be. It makes life so much more enjoyable. And so when radio started to erode, I was looking for that next thing, and I was horrified of the thought of having to get a real job and go to work like everybody else on the planet. And I enjoyed radio, which was new and different every day. And I was looking forward to that. And I was blessed to have an opportunity to not only get into marketing and advertising, but I went to work for a company who said, we appreciate the fact that you have an interest in digital marketing, but you don't know what you're doing. And they sent me to school to learn digital marketing. And for a year, when I first went to work for the company that I work for now, which is a division of MediaCom, it's called On Media, I learned digital marketing, and it was amazing. And when you first get into digital marketing, you think that, oh, this is new. It's been around for a long time, and a lot of people have been enjoying success in digital marketing. And so once I got my feet firmly planted in that realm and started learning digital marketing, I became passionate about digital marketing. And then an opportunity to actually work with a business when you're presented with a problem. Here's the problem: we have a location that is not ideal, but we have a good product, but no one stops by because of our location. And it's a puzzle that you put together. How do we get people to actually give them a chance? Because once they give them a chance and they find out how good they are, this location will become a destination. When they set out, they know where they're going. And so it's very rewarding to be able to help people with marketing. And at the end of the day, advertising is like sending out invitations to a party. You can spend time dressing up the house and decorating and hiring a caterer and paying for a band or a DJ. And if you don't send out any invitations, no one shows up except for your next door neighbor, who figures out you're having a party, and all your family and friends. And they're not going to buy from you. So it's about sending out enough invitations to get people that are qualified, people that really are interested and have a desire for your product in. And so that's what got me into advertising and marketing.
Well, this kind of goes into our next question, because I feel like, when you first get into business, it's trial by fire. You got to learn, on the fly. But early on in my business, I met, another detailer, and he was telling me, he's like, yeah, man, we're doing really good months, like 40,000 months, and he's like, I could help you get to 10,000 a month. And I was like, there's no way. And I opened up myself. He's like, let me show you how to do Facebook ads, Google ads, etc. So the next question is, what is the best advice you can give to a young entrepreneur that is getting started with his business on the aspect of branding?
Step number one, after you get all the bugs worked out in your business and your organization, pay a lot of attention to your website. Have a web presence. And having a website is more than just having a website. Look at it, scrutinize it, turn it upside down, flip it around, scrutinize that website to make sure that it's user friendly. And we were talking this morning earlier about, look at a website. This is your house, and you're inviting people to your house or your home, and you want to, put your best foot forward. First impressions are everything. And if someone comes to your house after they've been invited to this extravagant party, and then they're not impressed, and it's not happening, they figure out a way to leave quickly.
Yep.
And that's what happens to to websites. And so pay attention to your website and think about it as a user. When you're up close to things, you can't see the forest for the trees, but step back and also get opinions from your friends and family. And not, is it pretty? Is it user friendly? Did it actually do what you needed it to do? Did it make the experience user friendly? So that it leaves the ideal prospect with a good impression of your business.
And I think that's very good advice, because the biggest thing of being a business owner is sometimes you can get tunnel vision of looking inside your organization, but as a CEO you have to look up and out. Mm-hmm. And you have to ask people for feedback. I want to thank my clients, my customers, because I encourage them to give me critical feedback. Like our website, I was noticing that there was a dwell time of 1 minute and 45 seconds on it, but nobody was converting. And so I started asking around, and they were like, well, I'd rather just go to your page and see the price of everything. And I was like, okay, we'll try that out. We made that change, and we've had a lot more bookings. Mm-hmm. And it was just that one little tiny micro detail. Mm-hmm. And then also, when we had our event, I asked the people that were here, I was like, hey, what would we do differently? And they were like, well, you need to put your services on the wall. And I'm like, I didn't even think about that. I could put it right on the window. Like, hey, we do paint protection film, we do tint, we do ceramic coating, we do normal details. Man.
When you're involved closely with a business or anything that you're passionate about, any product, you just take for granted that everyone else on the planet is just as passionate, knowledgeable as you are, because you eat, sleep, and breathe it. And what we have to realize is another individual has other passions and other things that are distracting them, and they don't know what's happening in your world. Yeah. And it's tough to make sure that they're educated. And the only way to educate them is to make sure that it sticks out like a sore thumb. You put your services on the wall and on the window, you put them on your website so that they start to get educated about your products.
Yep. And so I'm really big on seeing is believing, right? Mm-hmm. So we have some new things coming in. So there's these products, right, that you can buy that are demonstrations. So it's this water fountain, right? And it has this little mini hood on it. And it'll show the properties of a ceramic coating. And it'll just... So we're going to display that on the wall. And then the next step is a paint protection film hood, where customers can literally scratch it, and then we can take a heat gun, and it'll self-heal. So presentation's everything. And my mentors have been saying, how are you demonstrating your products? And I think that answered the question right there. And going into our next question, on the websites are important, but you have to drive something to that website, right? In your opinion right now, there's so many different platforms. You got TikTok, you got Instagram, you got YouTube, you got Threads, you got everything. What is the best platform you think right now for customers, and why?
Well, before I answer that, I'm going to say this. You've heard the saying, never put all your eggs in one basket. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of different platforms out there that you need to embrace. One of the things that I really believe in is a multi-screen approach. And when I say multi-screen approach, think about how many screens that you're exposed to in your daily life. I mean, there's one of them right there. The other one might be a computer screen. It might be a TV screen. The average person is exposed to 3 to 4 screens in their daily life. And that's where we spend the time. Back in the day, we had 3 or 4 TV stations, we had a newspaper, we had billboards, and we had direct mail, and that was it. That's how you reached people. But these days, our attention changes so rapidly, and we go from one thing to the other. We're watching TV this morning. Now we're on our phone while we're taking a shower. Now we're in the car listening to something. Now we're at the office. So, hands down, I think the number one piece of advice I could give to anyone is embrace social media. There are so many different platforms out there, social media-wise, that reach people. And, the average person spends 3.5 hours a day on social media. We don't think about it, but think about all those little times that you're checking in to see who liked your page, to see what, messages you got. They all stack up, and then when you're doing this throughout the day, and that is where we're not only where our attention is going, but we're engaged. We're actively consuming that. We're thinking about what it is that we're seeing, which is more than just background noise. So social media, and then on top of social media, one of the other things that I've seen work, that I know works, is video. And if you can combine digital with video, then it's a win-win, because these days, people are, one of the products that I offer is cable TV advertising, and cable TV advertising is still solid in our market. It's still getting 30% of the viewing audience. So it's still relevant, but it's eroding. When I first got into advertising, we were at 40%. So it's eroding. And the reason it's eroding is, we've become more comfortable with smart TVs and streaming. And back in the day, when you tried to stream something, it was, I got to remember my password again, and I got to jump through all these hoops to actually watch what it is that I want to watch. And these days, it's just as simple as turning on a TV. But when you combine video with digital, you're reaching all of those people who are spending all that time on social media. And the reason video is so critical is because it's the best way to tell your story, and to get what it is that your business does in the mind of your ideal prospect. So digital video, and any way that you can use social media or any of the other digital video services to distribute that works.
Yeah, and since I've had more time, being out of command, and I'm on my internship now, I've noticed that I've been more engaged in the company, and every Monday, or pretty much every day, we do a shop walkthrough, and people love that. They love it. They're engaged. They can see like what we're doing, and then every Tuesday we have the podcast. People have something to look forward to. And, I've definitely seen an increase in engagement with our followers. People are commenting on our stuff, and, that's what we really want. We want people to be engaged in what we do, because we do put a lot of effort into it. And
you want them to stop. You don't want them to glance at what you're doing and keep walking. You want them to go, hey, that's neat. That's interesting. They don't realize that they're going to have an interest in that product down the road, but once they become educated, now all of a sudden it's, wow, I never knew that I needed that, but I need that.
Yeah. I mean, and it goes back to what I said, seeing is believing, really. Because I've noticed, through the trajectory of the business, I've had, people stand back and watch us. For example, we have a customer that I've literally been trying to get in our door for 2.5 years, and guess what? He finally booked. And it's because he saw what we were doing. He's a very analytical guy, and he saw like, oh wow, this business is actually true to what they say. And I think that was when he walked in the door and he saw what we had in the shop, and pretty grateful for that. But it's all about the journey, man. And going into our next question, so as you become a business owner, it's very important to market your product, right? As a young entrepreneur, would you encourage them to learn that skill or to hire out that skill?
Yes and yes.
Yes and yes.
If you have the time to educate yourself on how to build websites, how to deal with social media marketing, how to deal with Google, yes, I strongly encourage you to do that. The problem is you really need to have some type of a marketing background to be really good at it, because just because you've got the technical part taken care of, you need to think like a marketer. And so, yeah, if you've got the time and you've got the background or the desire to learn marketing and also learn the technical aspect of managing websites and digital platforms, then yeah, I love it. When my clients get involved and pay attention to their analytics and ask questions and want to understand. It makes it so much better and so much more rewarding for me when they appreciate what it is that you're doing, because it's possible for them to be super successful and have no idea that they were super successful, except, well, the cash register's ringing and we got people coming in, but they don't really realize what it is that they were doing. And that way, and if they don't realize what they were doing, then they can't continue to do that.
Yeah, and that's important. Like, I went to business school, but more on the lines of business management, but we did take marketing. I would say, if I could do it back, I would have gone to marketing because I love marketing. It's fun. It's absolutely exciting. But understanding the data, like the click-through rate, understanding, how many people are viewing my website, what's the viewage time, we have this click button, this funnel in our website. How do we know who's converting? And what's our CRM system that's going through that click funnel? We use High Level, but High Level is amazing. I don't know if you've heard about that, but basically somebody submits an inquiry on our website. My click funnel will automatically message them, hey, this is the Upscale Detail Co team. We're currently, in the process of getting a hold of you. Here's our pricing, blah, blah, blah. And we'll say we call them, they don't answer. It'll then engage them again. And it'll engage them 6 times. And if not. So that's not even on the human interface. So pretty cool, right?
That is cool.
Yeah.
And it's not worth the effort of doing any form of marketing if you're not getting results. And being able to see results gives you the ability to, with all digital marketing, with all online marketing, you essentially create this thing, and then you unleash it on the world. And then it takes on a mind of its own, and it eats and it grows, and it goes in other directions that you didn't realize it would go. And so it's important to monitor that, because you have to start adjusting the sails on the ship, so to say. You can't just turn it on and forget it. It's not a set and forget it thing. You have to pay attention to it. But the other side of learning how to do it yourself is just like everything else in the world. If you don't have the time, if you don't have the passion, if you don't have the desire, then hire a pro. I mean, because they know what they're doing. They've learned it. They've gone to school for it. They understand it. And then work with someone. Try to work with them close enough to understand what it is that they're doing, because some of it will rub off on you and you'll learn a little bit.
And to ask you, just because I'm interested, what school would you recommend to somebody that wants to get into the digital marketing space, that wants to learn Facebook ads, that wants to learn Google ads, wants to learn to create landing pages? Is there a school?
Well, I think any college or university is going to offer marketing these days, and marketing from the 80s when I was in school has just changed, and so the curriculum has changed. So if you're interested in digital marketing, you can check into your local school, university. I think CSU has a marketing department. There are several, so you can find them. I'm not familiar with any, but there may be a few online courses. In my situation, I learned through experience, and just like anything in life, when you start, when you start in your first career, what you don't realize is everything that you learned in your first career can be applied to your second career, and if you have it, your third career and your fourth career. And so I was very fortunate to come up in the age of radio, where I actually played records in the 80s, and then I watched it move to these, they were called carts, but they're little tapes that look like 8-track tapes, but they're 2-track. They only have one thing on them. And then next thing you know, this thing came out called a compact disc, and it's indestructible, and it's easy to file, and then from there, I had an engineer walk into the radio station one time and put a computer on the console, and he said, "This thing will play all the music, it'll play all the commercials, it'll even say the time and temperature." And I thought, I'm out of a job. eventually. And, that digital technology had taken over. I had a chance to learn all of that. I went through the whole radio school and then was blessed with an opportunity to go to work for a company who invested in me, and they continue to spend thousands of dollars a year on my education because digital technology is changing every day.
Yep.
Since we've been sitting here, there's a new product that has come out that my company is probably looking at bringing on, and then there's going to be a whole new class on this new thing. Just recently we got into digital audio, which is online radio stations, which now I've come full circle back to my first career, because I'm working with people that are like, oh, I don't understand, radio and digital audio is like radio of the old days. I got that. I got 36 years of that, so that's going to be simple. But however you can educate yourself online, ask questions, read a lot. If you can enroll in school to learn marketing, I will assure you this: it's a really good career, because every product that comes out in the world needs to be marketed. And if you're not marketing, you're not bringing new people into your business. You're not engaging with people that are actually looking for what it is that you do.
And kind of to go on to this, like new technology, what are your thoughts on artificial intelligence, and how do you think it's going to change the marketing space?
I think that, another side business that I have, I'm a voice actor, and I do radio commercials, and I do voiceovers for TV commercials and podcast intros, and things like that. And I think that I think that getting involved in any form of digital. Define that question a little bit more.
So, artificial intelligence, like ChatGPT, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can literally type in something like, "Hey, create me a 5-page essay," and it'll on Napoleon, Napoleon or whatever, and it'll literally write that. But from what I've heard on the marketing aspect is that the ChatGPT or the AI is being able to monitor your ads now, and to prevent less work for the user. Is that true?
I think that one of the things that you have to consider, it's going to make your life easier. It's going to save you a lot of money. I mean, that's one less voice actor that you're going to have to pay if you're using, artificial intelligence for your voice. That's one less writer that you're going to have to pay, because the technologies are going to do it for you. The thing to keep in mind is nothing is as pleasant to the human ear as the human voice.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing when you're writing. Artificial intelligence can write a paragraph. It can write a TV commercial. But, it's going to take a human to actually get back into that and look at that and see if it's right. Because, in our life, we have tones, and there are different ways to say things. I mean, I can say, I saw this on a TV show one time. I'll steal that. I can say, dude, or I can say, dude.
Yeah.
I said the same thing, but had a different tone. Does a piece of artificial intelligence understand that? Can they properly communicate that to the human ear? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. As a voice actor, though, I'm creeped out by the fact that someone can take my voice and store it in a computer, and I can say things that I've never said before. And so, I work with a lot of agencies across the United States, and I actually work with an agency out of London, and we have an agreement that they cannot use my voice for artificial intelligence. And I tend to work with agencies like that more often, because I feel like they're being true to me as a talent, and they're not going to rip me off. Last thing in the world I want to see is me to be on a national TV commercial that's making some company millions of dollars, and I got nothing for it.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
So I'm a little sensitive when it comes to that.
Is there any questions from the audience?
I believe we had a couple. There was a question here about when you're first starting a business, finding your target audience. How do you go about finding your target audience?
Well, when I take on a brand new client, and this happens a lot, one of the first questions is you start to ask questions of your client, because it's really hard to help someone with their marketing if you're not engaged and involved in their business. So in a way, you become a business partner, because if your client has a bad day, you're having a bad day at the same time. I usually try to ask people, who is your target audience? Who is your clientele? Who are you going to make the most money off of? And a lot of times the answer that comes back is anybody with money in their pocket. And you have to stop them and you have to say, no, I need you to really think about that, because you're going to waste a lot of money in marketing to people who will never do business with you. So you have to define, who is your audience? How much money do they make? What's their household income? Where do they live? What zip code do they live? What are their interests? Do they play tennis? Do they play golf? Are they into sports? What's their educational background? Those kind of things play into how you reach that ideal audience. So to answer the question, you have to give it a lot of time. Pay attention to who's walking in, who's buying your product. And that's going to change down the road, because you're going to learn more and more, and it'll morph into something else. But pay attention to who's buying your product, and then, more specifically, how old are they? What's their household income? What are their interest level? Make a mental note of that, or if you want to go above and beyond, keep a log, write it down, and keep it stored, and then refer back to that, because you're probably going to change that as time goes by, and that's the easiest way to figure out who your target audience is. And remember this, what I just said earlier, it costs the same amount for you to market to someone who would never buy your product. A company that I work with is Extreme Power Sports here in town, using them as an example. They sell ATVs and motorcycles. Do you want to spend your money marketing to someone who would never buy a motorcycle or an ATV, or has zero interest in that? Or would you rather prefer to market to someone who is actively looking for what it is that you're selling? They live that life. They already own a motorcycle. Now they're looking for another motorcycle. They're obsessed with it. They're paying attention to your product. And so figure out who your audience is, and then when you spend marketing dollars, make sure that you're spending those marketing dollars to target your ideal client prospect.
I couldn't agree with you more. That's what I've learned in the 2 years that I've been in marketing. Like, you got to pinpoint that. And the great thing is, as you dive into Facebook and Google and Facebook will tell you that based off the analytics. Mm-hmm. And they'll be like, hey, your age group is this. This is your income. This is where they live. This is what their household is. Top 10%, whatever. But
And if you're doing business already with someone who's handling your marketing for you, specifically digital, I run into this a lot. So many clients don't care to get involved and dig deep into the data to figure out how their marketing plans are doing. If you're working with a marketing agency that is not providing you analytics, get another marketing agency. Ask your marketing agency for the analytics. There's nothing to hide if it's working, and you want to make sure that it's working, and you want to pay attention to that. Dashboards are pretty common. Any digital marketer is going to have a dashboard to give you access to. I know in my company, if you become a client, we give you your own username and login for your own dashboard, and you're looking at the same data and the same platform that I'm looking at to monitor your ad campaigns. I get really excited when a client gets excited and they call me over the weekend to say, oh my God, did you see? I haven't had a chance to look at that because I'm also monitoring other ad campaigns. But, it's rewarding to me because, like we talked about earlier, we all have bills to pay and we all have to make money to pay bills. But I don't wake up every day and thinking about how much money am I going to make today. I wake up every day thinking, how am I going to help people today? This is going to be fun. This is going to be amazing. The excitement that you get from helping a client, not just make money, but be successful, have people talking about their business, become entrenched in the community. That's what gets me out of bed every day.
Same. And kind of in this podcast, I have one last question for you. And What is one thing that you could give our audience that would give them value?
Think about this. Back in the day, advertising was essentially throwing a big net out in the sea and pulling it back in. And whatever's in the net, well, that's what you caught today. Well, we're not looking for this fish, and this is an aluminum can, and this is a shoe. We didn't need all that. Think about who it is that you're marketing to, and embrace new technology. If you don't understand it, hire a professional to get involved in it. And remember this one thing: nobody on the planet can do business with you if they don't know who you are and what you do. You can have the best product on the planet and not tell anybody about it and not sell it. And the number one reason for failure in any business is an empty pipeline. It's great that you've got a customer today, but what about tomorrow? And if you're in an industry where, think of the car industry, you don't buy a car every day. So the car industry, the reason you see so much advertising from car industries is because they know that they have to keep that pipeline full. They have to sell a car every day. They have to sell multiple cars every day to stay in business. So think about that. And one way to keep your pipeline populated is, talk to as many people as you can talk to. Tell them about your business. If you're at a party, tell them about your business. If you're, running into a group of friends at, a restaurant, tell them about your business. If you can get on a podcast, tell them about your business. Any way that you can get the word out about your business is going to help your business. So, market, advertise. And also keep in mind that, marketing and advertising is more than just taking a message and putting it on any platform. You got to have an image. You got to pay attention to your image. There's a reason why big companies like Coca-Cola spend millions of dollars to design a Super Bowl ad that's going to run during the Super Bowl only, and then it's probably going to go away after a month. It's because it's about putting your best foot forward and making a good impression on someone who isn't familiar with your product.
And Brian, just for our listeners, how's a way that they could get in contact with you if they wanted to use you?
The easiest way is just look me up on social media. Look me up on Facebook. I've got several different pages there. There's a page there for my voiceover business at my studio, my production studio, where I do audio and I do. I specialize in radio and TV commercials, the audio for the radio and TV commercials, and I do concert commercials throughout the United States for different concert promoters. But you'll also see Brian Waters Marketing and Advertising. So if you're interested in marketing and advertising, look for that. You can message me there. You can also learn a little bit about what I do, and then I tend to post tips for people, so you can learn a lot about marketing and new technology just by spending some time on my Brian Waters Marketing and Advertising social media page, Facebook page.
Well, Brian, we really appreciate you coming on the podcast show. If you guys want to be on this podcast, reach out to us at 706-705-7335 or at upscaledetailco.com. We really appreciate you guys being on this episode, and have a great day.
Thank you for the time.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Awesome.